that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it. For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know?
Teaching Satanism in schools sounds like the stuff of horror movies, but a US court ruling on religious freedoms has enabled devil worshippers in Florida to hand out educational material about their beliefs to kids at state schools.
And followers of the Antichrist seized on the decision to treat all faiths equally.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue.
Actually, it's an RFID chip, radio frequency identification.
Like they put in dogs.
It's the same basic technology.
News Garden City police are investigating the bizarre death of a woman. Her body discovered and a small dog was found right there with her. Now police are hoping that dog's microchip could hold clues and help identify her.
In the future, chips will be equipped with GPS, but for now, they simply carry a 16-digit number unique to each client.
How much private information can you put in these chips?
The applications are unlimited. In the future, we'll be able to track children, the elderly, criminals, immigrants.
Welcome to the New World Order.
Did you see what just happened there in Canada? The Mike died during the American national anthem before Tuesday night's game between Toronto Maple Leafs and Nashville's Predators. The Toronto fans stepped in and finished Our Star-Spangled Banner.
In the past, the president has stood strong about the limits of his role as commander-in-chief. Remember this?
The problem is that, I'm the president of the United States. I'm not the emperor of the United States. My job is to execute laws that are passed.
But tonight's executive action contradicts this statement. Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano writing today in the Washington Times, quote, "The framers required that every president swear to do his job faithfully, to serve as a reminder to him that his job requires fidelity to the enforcement of laws, which he may disagree. Without presidential fidelity to the rule of law, we have a king, not a president."
In the years that I've been watching presidents and criticizing them because I disagree with them, I have not seen anything as profound as this. The president is a former professor of constitutional law at one of the finest law schools in the world, the University of Chicago Law School. He knows the Constitution very well. He knows that he cannot rewrite the law of the land, and he cannot nullify the law of the land, and that if the effect of his executive action is the functional equivalent of rewriting it or nullifying it, it's wrong, it's unlawful, it's profoundly unconstitutional, and it's disturbing, it's destabilizing.
Time to show you some of this morning's headlines. The Wall Street Journal says the director of the NSA expects a dramatic cyber attack on the United States in the next decade. Michael Rogers testified yesterday before the House Intelligence Committee. He said China and one or two other countries are capable of an attack that would shut down our power grid.
Yeah, they got the military over here. I don't know what they ass doing over here, but they are gassing up, doing something.
Heavy armor in Ohio's heartland. NBC4 investigates military-grade weapons inside local police departments. The arsenals include handguns, assault rifles, bayonets, and this, an MRAP. Police departments around the state have received more than $67 million worth of military equipment from the Department of Defense in the past 20 years.
The equipment is free, but critics claim there might be a much bigger cost, loss of public trust.
It became an issue this past summer during the riots in Ferguson, Missouri. When did police departments start looking more like armies? And why?
News breaking overnight, a shooting on the campus of Florida State. 3 students wounded. The shooter was killed in a showdown with police.
There has been a shooting in the library.
Overnight, a terrifying scene on the campus of Florida State University. Students huddled in the library on lockdown after gunshots are fired.
Oh my God.
3 people injured in the gunfire, 1 in critical condition after police say the shooter, acting alone, opened fire overnight.
Police are still trying to determine a motive for this shooting here on campus that happened just after midnight Thursday morning. What they do know is that in the months leading up to the shooting, the man who opened fire appeared troubled and thought the government was out to get him.
Under God, under the gun. A New Jersey family suing its school district saying that the phrase should be removed from the Pledge of Allegiance because it violates this particular family's atheist beliefs. Well, this high school senior won't let it happen. Samantha Jones is leading a different fight to keep the pledge just the way it is, God and all.
This is so important to me because I've recited the pledge since I've been like a little kid.
Right.
The phrase "One Nation Under God" sums up the history and values that I've always learned about in my history classes, because it acknowledges that our rights don't come from the government, but from a higher power.
Well, Sharon Micah, these parents tell me that they have no trouble with their son learning the history about any religion. It's when the school starts teaching him the faith.
Some Manhattan Beach Middle School parents feel the school has crossed the line. They say they recently discovered their son's homework assignments on Islam were more about actually learning the faith than the history. One question asked him to write down teachings from the Quran.
What I saw written in these bubbles was the one true God, Allah, in one of the bubbles. And one of the other bubbles was all people must submit to Allah in another bubble. Now I turn the page over and I see the 5 pillars of Islam.
One of the 5 pillars he had to learn?
Shahada is the testimony of a faithful Muslim that Allah is the one true God.
It shouldn't be presented to them. They shouldn't be asked to know this.
Punished for preaching, an Everett teen says his school is violating his rights. Good evening, I'm Marnie Hughes.
And I'm David Rose. He claims fellow students and teachers are taking away his freedom of speech. Jamie Tompkins spoke with that teen tonight. And Jamie, is he thinking about taking legal action here?
Yes, he is taking legal action. He says he feels students should never feel forced to leave their constitutional rights at the schoolhouse door.
Michael Leal says he preaches the message from the gospel every day at school. The senior at Cascade High School in Everett says he was suspended 3 times in the month of October for preaching and handing out Bible verses during school hours on school grounds. Michael's attorney, Conrad Reynoldson, says this is a violation of his constitutional rights.
Curiosity about dozens of Homeland Security vehicles in the parking garage of the Drury Plaza hotels has left a Facebooking member of the hotel staff on the unemployment line.
It was certainly a sight that jumped out at Mark Paffrath.
It was very odd that there was a bunch of Homeland Security cars there, you know, and I was shocked and took a picture of them in a short video and posted them to Facebook with the status update.
He felt it was a harmless post until first he was ordered by his boss to pull down the pictures. Then, a day later, he says he was confronted and fired by the Drury Hotel chain's security chief.
He called me a terrorist and said I dishonorably served my country for posting those pictures and the short video.
Paffrath, who served 3 years in the Navy, did not take kindly to that or the next statement.
You know, he gave me a threat if I would repost the pictures that I would be locked up and have DHS knock on my door and all that other stuff.
Illuminati International. Now, for the second time in 3 days, US police have fatally shot an innocent black civilian, this time a 12-year-old boy who was shot in the stomach by a policeman at a playground in Ohio. The youngster later died in hospital. Officers thought he was carrying a lethal firearm, which turned out to be an air gun. This particular type of weapon is powered by compressed gas and fires small ball-like aluminium or plastic pellets. The boy allegedly refused to put his hands in the air and instead reached into his waistband, which is when one officer pulled the trigger twice.
That we here highly resolve these dead shall not have died in vain, that the nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
This nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom.
That the nation shall have a new birth of freedom.
That tells you that this war on Christmas is really the tip of the spear when it comes to a greater battle that's brewing. And that battle that's brewing is those who would want to take God out of our society, out of our culture, which will lead to ruin, as history has proven. Any country, any government, society that has kicked God out of the public square completely, it leads to ruin. Why would we go down that path when we know what would happen?
So why did this happen? Our senior correspondent John Miller is with us. He's the former head of counterterrorism for the LAPD. John, what have you learned about the suspect?
He is Paul Anthony Ciancia. He walks into the terminal. He's got the gun in a garment bag. He takes the rifle out. He opens fire, shoots his way through the checkpoint, going down a side, coming around the back end. He's focused on the TSA agents. Inside the bag, we are told investigators came up with notes saying that the TSA were fascists and pigs, anti-American rantings, anti-TSA rantings, and references to the New World Order, which is kind of a growing conspiracy group that believes the world is going to be taken over by forces in black helicopters and so on. First up, it's all eyes on the sky. Live pictures now from Phoenix. For the second night in a row, military training exercises are underway around the valley. And within the last half hour, the Phoenix Police Department has confirmed to 3TV that they are supporting Department of Defense training around the city. There have been a lot of helicopters seen all across the valley tonight.
Our own Bruce Hafner has reported seeing military helicopters flying low over the Scottsdale area.
Dan Bongino, running for Congress in Maryland. And not because you want to, but because of the things that you've seen and the things that you know. Tell me what you think is happening with the government is being used as a weapon to destroy people right now.
Yeah, we're at a very dangerous point, Glenn, and thank you for having me. It's always an honor. It's been a while, so it's great to see you, and congrats on everything with the Blaze. It's just taken off.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, we're in a lot of trouble. The president sees government, and I think it's because of his lack of experience and maybe community organizing in the past as like this shiny new toy, which for all the disagreements I had with Clinton, Carter, and Bush, there were always limits. There was that line you just didn't cross. We cross it seemingly every day, Glenn.
Every day.
We're lost in the scandals. The Jamie Dimon shakedown at Chase, the HHS scandal, Kathleen Sebelius shaking down the healthcare industry for money, the IRS. It's to the point, Glenn, where these scandals in and of themselves would be huge, backbreaking scandals, are just lost in the scandal fog in this administration. It's worse than people know. I'm not trying to scare you either.
Tell me about the NSA. But knowing you are Secret Service.
Yeah.
So knowing what you know, tell me what we should be concerned about.
You give the government information, it will be abused. It is not a matter of if it'll be abused. Keep in mind, it's only a matter of when. But the bottom line is, having worked inside the government, it will be abused. It is only a matter of time.
So what should we be doing? Because we ring the bell, we talk about it, we look at it, but it's not going. It's just not, doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, Dan.
No, it's not. And the reason is, as I said, that with the Obama administration, that they're experts in losing you in the fog of scandal. This NSA thing is a back-breaking story. It really is. It gets at the very roots, I'm looking at your roots there in the grass, the roots of what liberty means. That flag means something. It's undermining the very principles by which made this country great. I know you're a believer. I'm a Christian. Jesus Christ, as far as I know, was the only perfect human being to ever plant his feet on this earth. We are all doing something wrong. Remember, when the key's held by someone else, liberty means absolutely nothing. That personal and private self are being evaporated.
200 military leaders out of their posts since President Obama took office.
Why are we seeing this purge of some of our greatest leaders, and what effect will this have on our national security?
A lot of these guys disagree professionally with the White House, and as a result, they're getting fired.
Georgia restaurant owner who proudly makes it his mission to honor those who have served our country, now facing a fight over a U.S. flag that he flies at his establishment. Darren Miller says he was cited by the city for showing his appreciation to the troops.
The city now, where it was a violation of in the right-of-way, now they're backpedaling a little bit, saying now it's a permit issue. And I just don't think I should have to pay money to fly the American flag or support our men and women in uniform.
Yeah.
And I refuse to.
Absolutely right. Dean, what do you think this says about our country that you weren't able to fly your flags?
Well, I think, it's a shame.
Should high school students say the Pledge of Allegiance before class? Well, according to the school district, no. Last night, they voted down a proposal that would require the teenagers to recite the pledge every day. The reason? Board members decided there's not enough time during the day to say it.
We felt that we wanted to make it clear that at the high school level, we do not, there's not always an opportunity to have the Pledge of Allegiance spoken every day.
This is why people don't understand what we're fighting for. When we talk about current events and we talk about these issues and what we're looking to preserve, they can't tell you because they can't even recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
Proud of his 20-year military service and his 10 years of work at Dameron Hospital, Boots Hawks says he's not afraid of expressing his beliefs.
I believe in America and I believe in God so strongly, and I believe that America needs a blessing.
The phrase, "God bless America," has been in Hawks' work email signature for more than a year. But just days before Veterans Day, Hawks says the hospital asked him to remove it. He says he did remove it before he sent another email. Yet the next day, he was called into the office.
I was going to be put on administrative leave immediately, and this was last Friday, right before the Veterans Day weekend.
In the end, Hawks just wants to be able to put "God bless America" back on his email signature.
Meanwhile, an American soldier fighting for faith after an army briefing slaps a hate group label on a well-established traditional Christian ministry.
That's right. The presentation linked the American Family Association to hate groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis, Black Panthers, and the Nation of Islam.
The soldier was so enraged, the fearful punishment for his own Christian values, he reached out to our own Todd Starnes.
Yeah, this happened down at Camp Shelby in Mississippi, and the soldier was part of 50 active duty and reservist troops that had to attend this mandatory session. And in this session, they certainly did label the American Family Association, which is a well-respected Christian ministry, as an example of a hate group. And this soldier snapped a photograph that he sent me showing the slideshow presentation, and also another briefing, and I believe this was in the Air Force, labeled evangelical Christianity and Catholicism as examples of religious extremism. So there's something going on here. The Pentagon, we tried to talk to them. They told us we needed to talk to the Army. And at that point, the Army, well, it's been almost 24 hours and we still haven't heard back from them.
A U.S. soldier in our Army spoke out. He said this: "I had to show Americans what our soldiers are now being taught. I couldn't just let this one pass. I was completely taken back by this blatant attack, not only on the AFA, but Christians in our beliefs. Your thoughts on that?
Elizabeth, for the past 5 years under the Obama administration, we have seen a significant increase in anti-Christian rhetoric and activity in the military.
It all started with a traffic stop for speeding, but it quickly escalated into a very dangerous situation. In the end, a 14-year-old was charged with attacking a state trooper. His mother is facing felonies, and now there are questions about why one officer fired at a minivan full of children.
You're doing 71 back there and a 55, okay?
Oriana Farrell and a state police officer are arguing over a ticket just south of Taos.
I'll be right back. Go ahead and turn the vehicle off for me.
But as the cop walks off, Farrell does the opposite, pulling away instead. So he pulls her over again. The officer isn't too happy.
Get out of the vehicle. Get out of the vehicle right now.
You can see the officer try to pull Farrell out while the 5 kids inside scream. Finally, Farrell agrees to get out and talk, but the conversation doesn't last long.
Turn around and face your vehicle. Man, listen to me.
Farrell and the cops struggle as she tries to get back into the van. While that happens, the 14-year-old gets out again. And this time, he rushes the officer, trying to defend his mom. After a short tussle, the boy runs back into the minivan. The officer tries to get him out while backup arrives.
Open the door! Open the door!
Farrell starts to drive off while another officer fires at the minivan full of kids as young as 6.
What would you think if police pulled you over and asked for a DNA test? One woman says it happened to her and she called NBC5 to investigate the suspicious stop. NBC5's Scott Gordon has been looking into the roadblock in Fort Worth.
Kim Cope was on her lunch break Friday driving north on Beach when she came across 2 police cars with lights flashing.
Yeah, they were about right in here.
She says the uniformed officers directed her into this parking lot.
I gestured to the guy in front that I just wanted to go straight, but he wouldn't let me and forced me into a parking spot.
Once parked, she says she couldn't believe what she was asked next.
They were asking for cheek swabs. They would pay you $10 cash for that. They would also, if you let them take your blood, they would pay you $50 for that.
Or at the very least, she says, they wanted to test her breath for alcohol for free.
It just doesn't seem right that you would be forced off of the road when you're not doing anything wrong.
Federal agency confirms they're doing this in 30 cities across the country.
You can't just be pulled over randomly or for no reason.
But civil rights attorney Frank Colosi questions whether such stops are constitutional.
I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right that they should be able to do any of it. I mean, if it's voluntary, it's voluntary. And again, none of it felt voluntary at all.
We should make it clear the people actually doing the survey were government contractors. The Federal Traffic Safety Administration did not respond to our specific questions.
After people get off a plane, the new airport exits are getting some strange looks. Some think they look like a science fiction intergalactic time machine.
I was expecting to get transported somewhere like on Star Trek. I thought, yeah, we finally got there.
Others were wondering if it was an X-ray chamber or might fill up with dollar bills like on a game show.
Yeah, it was odd. I'm like, where'd they come up with this? I'm not sure what it is.
Doors will open and close automatically.
The voice giving instructions is futuristic, but the new exit portals are just part of the Syracuse Airport's $60 million renovation. To keep the passenger area secure, passengers leaving enter the portal, wait for one door to close, and then the other one opens. The portal is one way. If anyone tries to get back into the secure area, the door automatically locks. Syracuse may be the first airport in New York State to have the new exit portals, but the airport commissioner says they will likely be showing up at airports around the country very soon.
Employees at this KFC in West Lafayette, Indiana, no longer need a password to sign into their cash registers.
They come in and they put their finger on a fingerprint mechanism, and it just automatically clocks them in.
Biometrics, once considered a far-fetched technology, is becoming an everyday reality. From signing onto your phone, accessing your bank account, to entering a secured room. Your unique features are the key to unlocking anything worth safeguarding.
It's got to be a guy, so women, you got to all sit down. Women, you got to all sit down. It's got to be a man. All right. I'm going to call on this guy because he had the cap and he thought I had called on him and I didn't. So, all right, right here. The guy with the cap. Last question. Of course, now it better be a good one. Go ahead.
Oh, it's such a blessing to see you, Mr. President. Thank you for taking time out of your day. Oh, gracious God, thank you so much.
All right, what's the question?
All right, Mr. President. My name is Julio Acegueda. I'm currently a student at Edison State College in my second semester. And, okay, I've been at the same job, which is McDonald's, for 4.5 years because of the fact that I can't find another job. Now, with the fact that I've been there for as long as I've been there, do you have any plan or any idea of making one that has been there for a long time receive any better benefits than what they've already received?
Well, I tell you what. First of all, a couple things I'd like to say. Number one, the fact that you are working as hard as you're working at a job that I know doesn't always pay as well as some other jobs, I think that's a source of pride for you. That shows that you're doing the right thing. Now, the second thing is that you will actually benefit from the tax breaks that we're talking about, so you'll be able to keep a little bit extra money because we're going to offset your payroll tax. That's going to help. Oh, I assume that you're not getting health care through your job. And so one of the things that we want to do is reform the health care system so that you will have access to health care in your job. But the thing that I'm really interested in is, you say you're going to school. What are you studying?
I'm looking to study and majoring in communications, hopefully being a broadcaster or a disc jockey.
Well, you sound like you've got a good communication skills.
Thank you so much.
So part of what we want to do is we want to make it easier for you to afford going to college by giving you this refundable tax credit for your tuition. Because young people like Julio, who have that much enthusiasm and that much energy, we've got to make sure that we are giving them a pathway so that they can educate themselves and go as far as their dreams take them. Thank you very much, Fort Myers. I appreciate you.
All right, Julio, he's king for the day. Let me tell you what, he's going to go back to Mickey.
Well, some parents of elementary school students in Burlington, New Jersey are outraged to see video of their children singing a Christian spiritual song where the name of Jesus was substituted with President Obama's. Now the school superintendent is speaking out. In a statement, he objected to the unauthorized taping and release of that videotape, but he didn't mention the song's lyrics. Jamie Colby is live outside the school, B. Bernice Young Elementary in Burlington, New Jersey. Jamie, any more from the superintendent or teachers this morning?
Well, absolutely, and a lot more from the parents too, Allison, and the local paper. There's definitely a controversy here on both sides. Some parents are saying that it was absolutely inappropriate to substitute the words of that spiritual song with Barack Hussein Obama, and for second graders to be singing about an equal pay measure that he had just signed into law. The school says it's all part of their Black History Month celebration in February. But then in June, the video hit the internet on YouTube, and many parents were up in arms. Here's what some of them had to say on both sides.
I felt that it was reminiscent of 1930s Germany and the indoctrination of children to worship dear leader.
My daughter was in the class that did the songs about Obama. It was Black History Month. It was President's Day. It was something for the kids to celebrate. I just can't look at it as an indoctrination.
And Allison, the question seems to come down to where the lyrics came from. A former Harvard classmate of Barack Obama's, her name is Charisse Carney Nunez. She wrote a book, I Am Barack Obama, which was part of the assembly and also the education process of these children singing the songs. There are some reports that she was in the classroom in the video that you're seeing. Others, including teachers, say the children themselves wrote the lyrics, including that one about equal pay. Now the superintendent is under investigation, as is the school. The education commissioner is saying a full investigation is underway. Here's the full-screen quote of what the superintendent is saying today. There was no intention to indoctrinate children, as that one parent claims. There was no political agenda underlying the activity. The teacher's intention was to engage the children in activity to recognize famous and accomplished African Americans during Black History Month. So the investigation is underway, and we'll put in calls now that they're in place and open on when we'll have an answer on what will be done. The teacher that was in charge of that class has since retired, Allison. And at a parent-teacher conference last night, the superintendent and principal would not answer any questions or make any statement about what happened back in February and in this video posted on YouTube in June. Allison, one more note. In Arkansas, a school of a similar name, the Bernice Elementary School, they're getting calls and also threatening calls at that, because some parents thought it had happened at their school as well. So that gives you a little bit of the pulse on this issue across the country.
Oh,
Allison?
boy. All right, well, let's be clear. It was in New Jersey where Jamie Colby is this morning for us. Thanks for the update, Jamie. And we want to get your opinion on this story. Should school officials be fired over this controversy? Just head over to our website, foxnews.com. Click on the You Decide link to give us your thoughts.